Shouts out Big Steve.
What up, what up? Welcome to another episode of The Big Brain. I'm your host, like usual, Big Steve. Breaking down some PFL this week. I really didn't feel like doing the UFC. I mean, I do have one bet, which I put in last night. But yeah, the card in general, I'm not excited to break it down. I'm not excited to tape it, even though I did tape everything. So yeah, why not do a bit of regionals? I think some of these championship fights are quite good, and I'll probably have more bets. So let's do that. Let's address the 6,200 that I lost on the UFC last week. It's important to stay transparent, as all the cappers say out there. So yeah, do a little quick review. So it's been a while since I had this many bets on a card, and I was actually rinsed, like reverse swept. Giga Chikadze versus Barboza was the last time. I remember it well. I lost 4-something thousand, couldn't catch a break. That's when my units were smaller, so I lost a lot more. But yeah, let's get into the issues, shall we? I think it's important to navigate what the issues were. Veronica Hardy, Jamie Lynn Horth. I passed on Horth at Pick'em when the line came in on Hardy. I thought that was accurate. I thought Hardy was just way faster. And Horth probably wins round 3 at high clip if Hardy gasses like she used to back in the day. And it would come down to round 2. So, was happy with that. I did poke a little bit of round 3 Horth sub at massive numbers just because it lines up with Hardy gassing and, a lot of round 3 finishes for Jamie Lee Horth. It was like $21. And then I kind of got scared that I was going to miss out if she hit a round 2 sub, and I've just played another $150 on sub in general. So that right there was $200 and something when I initially only had a $75 poke on round 3, right? So I knew something was wrong then when I'm just sprinkling too much stuff and I have FOMO, fear of missing out on a winning bet. So I'll go on a bit of a tangent here, but yeah, when I'm in my element, when I'm usually profiting every week, every month, when I'm not in my FOMO, but I'm in the spot where I hesitate a little bit. I think about the fight, and if I'm not sure, I just pass. Right? If I'm overthinking it, if I'm having FOMO, if I go, if I play only round 3, she might get a round 2 sub, and I lose my $75. That's FOMO, right? That's what I did this card. I sprinkled way too many things, and obviously I got destroyed. But we'll get into it. And then when Veronica Hardy was a massive dog, when Jamie Lee Horth went to -200, I really wanted to play her. I was like, man, she's going to win round 1 at a high clip. I really wanted to play her, but because I had too many pokes on the submission props, I didn't, because I hate having too many pokes. And that's what stuffed me up. So that was my only regret, not having Hardy and then look to live bet Horth, which I did. I live bet Horth after round 1. I said I would live bet her at any plus money because I was close at Pick'em, but she was massive plus money. She was $3 something. So I put a quarter unit there, $300. So I lost 250 or 25 on the submission and submission 3 stabs, and then I lost a split decision on Horth live, which no regrets. Came down to round 2. Probably the only good bet I made on the whole card, that Horth live bet. Jared Gooden determined shit show fight, passed on it, and ended up exactly like that. Bellato, Pateria. I kept this fight perfectly. I thought Pateria was really live to knock Bellato out in the first before he gassed out. I passed on the under. I thought he would end late round 2 just because Pateria is relatively durable and he gasses, and Bellato not the best wrestler. But yeah, I chucked $50 on Pateria round 1. He ended up landing on him at will, and nothing happened, and then he almost knocks him out in round 2. So I could have been a lot more tilted if he got around 2 KO when I bet round 1. But yeah, $50, I'm happy with that play. The number was crazy. But yeah. Joe Solecki, Drakkar Close, had $60 on Drakkar Close round 3. I was going to live bet him. He got his back taken ASAP as predicted, but then he got out, so the live bet was gone. I do regret not playing his money line there. I thought Solecki was submission or bust, and I didn't give him much chance to submit. Cody Brundage, Zach Reese. This is where things started to go a little bit annoying, and I was becoming tilted. I really liked the under 1.5 all week, but at -200, I thought it was accurate. Maybe 5 cents of value, and as the week went on, I was like, I'm gonna play this. It's gonna be the last time I'll have a chance to fade Cody or play under 1.5. And instead, I got greedy and I played Zach Reese round one. I thought he was going to get taken down and cracked 100%, but I thought once they were down, I was pretty confident Reese was going to submit him. And when he locked in that triangle, I was like, this is it. And then another power bomb. Yep, that's me. Can't blame anyone but myself. The under 1.5 would have been easy money, but greed, yeah, you get greedy and you lose money. So at that point, what do we, 300, $50 there, 400. I had 500 on Reese round one, so only a third of a unit. I was greedy, but I wasn't reckless. And then, Julia Avila against Misha Tate. What is there to say? Maybe I could have done more due diligence. I watched 3, 4 of Misha Tate's fights, and her takedowns entries were awful. She gets busted up. She's can't handle damage well. And I mean, look, she was on top for 3 rounds straight, and her arm was still swollen from the punches from the bottom. But yeah, Julia Avila, I think I got outdone by her interview. She says, I know my takedowns are bad. I've been training on them all camp. And I'm like, okay. She'd been training during the pregnancy. She looked in good shape. I thought she was much less washed compared to Misha Tate, whose path was a slim decision from cage push. Avila has get-ups. She hunts for the heel hooks. She's got up against Sijara Eubanks multiple times. I thought Eubanks was a lot more durable and a lot more better with the takedowns. She slams everyone in round one. But yeah, Misha Tate just came in with constant pressure, and Avila kept backing up to the cage, and yeah, awful bet. And at this point, I was semi-tilted. I lost $1,000 there. I was $1,000 down. I just remembered with all these pokes. The Reese, the close $60, the Patera around $150, and Jamie Lee Hort was like 500 with the live bet. So I was like, oh, I don't want to be $1,000 down before Avila. It wasn't really the most confident bet, and then lose $1,000 there. And then Punahele Soriano, his round one takedown prop the night before was $1.80, almost pick him. That was my favorite takedown prop out of all the ones that I looked, and a couple of Brady ones. And then I look at Stolfitz, and he's getting taken down by everyone easily. Negative takedown defense. Puna's going for takedowns against Dalcha. I don't know why. I'm like, yeah, this guy can get a takedown whenever he wants. So I played that for $700. And then I played Puna under 2.5 rounds, which I was surprised it was plus money. He kind of covered his KO1, KO2, and a little bit of KO3, even though I didn't think he would get it. But I thought, Dustin is so hittable, so slow, so plotting. Soriano could have even KO'd him with like attritional damage. And every time Soriano hit him, it wobbled him. And yeah, we saw how that fight didn't go for one takedown. In fact, Dustin took him down twice. Awful performance by Soriano. I've lost money on this guy every single time. I don't know what I was doing. Probably the worst fight to chase. So I lost both the bets there. Didn't get one takedown and didn't get a finish. So I lost 1,200 there. Then Joaquim Silva against Clay Guida. I was looking at his finish prop all week. The under the 2.5 got up to pick him, which is the same as Silva's inside the distance. I was like, I just didn't know which one to play. And, the doesn't go was too juiced. But a lot of Silva's finishes in the last 2.5 minutes of round 3. So I thought the under the 2.5, the doesn't go was a lot safer. And playing Silva inside the distance, I think he's extremely chinny. I thought Guida could potentially submit him and crack him. So I just put $1,000 on Silva inside the distance. He was a pick him. And what can I say? Hits him with a brutal uppercut in round 1. Doesn't finish him. Very deep guillotine choke in round 2. Very deep 10-finger guillotine in round 3. That was always live. Guida is extremely tough. You have to submit him. On another day, I would have just sprinkled Silva round 2 submission and reduced my risk. But because I was desperate and I wanted a safe chase to cover all the rounds, all the aspects, I just did $1,000 to win 900. And obviously that lost too as well. Kevin Gastelum, this was one of the money line bets I had pre. Initially I taped it, and I passed. For 2 days I passed. And then that plus money kept staring at me, and I thought this is going to be a pick 'em fight. And I hate how Calvin looks in round 3. I hate how he starts to give up his back and he doesn't really have the best takedown defense. Talking with my boy Lou on the podcast, I said he's not as smart as Bilal. He's too reckless. He would rather give up a takedown than scramble, but it's hard to scramble against Brady. But when I saw that 220, plus $20 on 20 cents on the dog side, and I thought he has KO upside. Plus, he's dropping down to welterweight. He's taking his career seriously. He's a fight ready. I had to take the dog shot, and I sprinkled half unit, and I was happy to lose. I was happy to lose, but after all these other bets, at that point, it was just got sick of losing. So I passed on Brady, 2 takedowns, which I liked. It was a pick him, hit him nice and early in round 1. So yeah, just another bet that I lost. So at this point, I was extremely tilted. Extremely tilted. I said I needed to get away from the computer because I'm going to make some bad bets and destroy myself even more. I was 5,000 something down, lost every single bet, every single sprinkle, which again, this was extremely rare for me. And I ended up staying for the Rob Font Davison Figueiredo fight. And, Rob Font looked like trash. And I called up the live bet, Rob Font, because I thought he was winning round 1. And then as I'm on the phone, he gets hurt. He gets wobbled by Figueiredo. And yeah, what happened next? I just said, you know what? Lock it in anyway. Even though I knew it was an awful bet. And then Rob Font proceeded to get 30-27. So I lost another $900 there. I was 6,200, and at that point, I got up and walked away from the computer. I liked Jalen Turner. I liked the under 1.5. Didn't play it, and I also liked some Armin and maybe over 1.5. Thank God I left because I had a feeling the only other time I played Armin overs was in that Giagos fight. So thank God I didn't touch anything there. But yeah, lost 6,200. Lost every single bet. A lot of them were bad bets. Happy with my Horse live bet, submission poke. I regret not playing Hardy money line. Happy with the Pateria poke, close. Could have played the money line. Hate myself for playing Reese round 1. Hate myself for Avila. Soriano, Silva, not bad. Inside the distance. Gastelum, I knew the dangers. And yeah, the font I literally threw away $900 tilt. So don't tilt. I need to stop doing this next year. Had a great year other than the 3 times I was emotionally tilted. And yeah, every time it's stuff outside of gambling, but what can you do? You can't avoid it. You're gonna have ups and downs in your life. So yeah, now that that's over, I mean, I did win my Jeremy Stevens big KFC fight, $3.50 plus 250. So yeah, that ended the streak. So hopefully this week continues and we keep ending the streak. Got a bunch of bets in the regionals. Sup Hose, sup Pepe Silvia. But let's get into it. That was a long breakdown, but it's important to address everything. And I consider this an educational channel, so I want people to know why I bet some of these bets and why they were bad, why they were good. But let's move on to PFL, shall we? This should be a quick breakdown, so don't stress. Nate Kelly versus Callum Seaton. Amateur fight, awful fight. 2 jobbers. It's a dog or pass. Callum loves to grapple. Kelly's meant to be a striker. Yeah, awful fight. No need to talk about it. Connor Hughes versus Seba Santana Guedes. So Seba Guedes is apparently a black belt, tall, noodly black belt. He loses position a lot. He's very, what do I say, very, very weak. And, he's got the back, he's got mount, he just keeps losing it. So it's quite the awful back taker, quite the awful black belt. I've seen him get mounted and finished on the ground. And, he had his PFL debut, which I watched for the first time, and he just kind of got broken and ground and pounded. Connor Hughes, on the other hand, is a really good striker. He's a world champion, according to the commentators, and you can see on the tape. He debuted against Tuke, who we'll speak about later, in PFL, and he got shut down. He couldn't handle the footwork, and then he got backpacked for multiple rounds. On his regional tape, he does grapple as well. He's got a nice trip against the cage, and he dominates a lot of people on top in mount with back control. So I think he's well rounded. I don't think his grappling is as bad as Tuke made it out to be. I think Tuke is underrated and he's improved a lot. But yeah, this fight, it's the only thing I really tape to see is whether we'll like the under 1.5. And Guedes, he just seems like a bit of a weasel. If he doesn't get cracked bad, I think Hughes can maybe get some top time and he could go over. So I'm just passing at the moment. Guedes, like I said, he seems like a bit of a weasel, grappling weasel. So if Hughes sits in guard a lot. Whenever Hughes is grappled, his fights have gone over. So pass fight all around. I know someone playing Guedes because he's a grappler. I don't know. Again, I think Tuke is a lot better. Kakaze, Bondo, Dominic Wooding. This is a squash match. Bondo is a short notice guy. He hasn't fought in 3 years. Wooding's pretty decent. Ex-Cage Warrior champ. Southpaw, athletic. Yeah, squash match. I think Bondo he can maybe burn the clock a bit because he's a very physical and aggressive wrestler. He's just slamming dudes, just mauling him on the regionals, but it's a very low level regional scene. And yeah, like I said, hasn't fought in 3 years, but he looked in good shape and he's dropping down to bantamweight. So maybe Wooding has had issues with being pushed up against the cage and getting taken down. So who knows? But yeah, it's Wooding's fight to lose. Tom Breeze, Clayton Silva. Let me just address this comment. Andrew Vizak. Is it Louis Cato season? Let's hope so, mate. Let's hope so, because I'm on Louis as a slight dog. I think Brave is on right now. So let's hope I get some profit before PFL. Tom Breeze, Clayton Silva. Interesting fight. A light heavyweight. Tom Breeze was fighting at middleweight recently in the UFC and in PF in Levels Fight Series and even in KSW. And he won the Levels Fight Series title at light heavyweight, but he weighed 203, and he weighed 203 here. And, his opponent is an ex-lightweight, Clayton Silva, and doesn't have many welterweight fights, if any at all. I remember thinking, if this is a welterweight, like Topology says, man, Tom Breeze is going to look massive. But it's not. It's a light heavyweight. And, yeah, this Clayton Silva, I remember thinking, man, this guy's going to get mauled by Tom Breeze. He's tall. His hands are low. He's 37. He's, like I said, career lightweight. Let me just see if he's got any welterweight fights. Nah. Last 5 or 6, 7. Doesn't have any welterweight fights. And now, 37 is going up to light heavyweight. But he weighs the same as Tom Breeze. But you just know Tom Breeze is going to look 10 times bigger. This guy's a mammoth. He must have some really light bones. Yeah, but Clayton Silva, very hittable. He's scrappy. He throws. He can be taken down easily. He gives his back up a lot. But I'm surprised he hasn't been finished much. He's got like one finish in round 4. But yeah, watching his Brave tape, he's getting hit a lot. He's getting in bad positions on the ground. I feel like if Tom Breeze gets that position, Tom Breeze is an elite. Can't stress how elite he is at submitting people. He's got guillotine chokes, rear naked chokes, triangle chokes. His jiu-jitsu is beautiful. And his boxing is too. He's a nice clean southpaw with a 1-2 down a pipe. But his thing has always been mental. So there's a few things, I wanted to hit Breeze submission, and my boy Pierce, told me, and then instantly just ruined it as well. Instead of waiting for me for 2 seconds, right now I'd rather play Breeze KO at $4 just because how hittable this Clayton Silva dude is. But yeah, I think Breeze could finish him. He should finish him. Should finish him early. I think after that, Breeze kind of just slows down, and he's got flake in him. He's flaked in every single fight he's lost by finish as well. So Clayton can throw, man. Clayton Silva throws. He throws hard, and he's really good with his ground and pound and rear naked choke as well. So who knows? Could be a killer fight for both these guys. But let's move on. Brett Johns versus David Tanathi Kroll. Brett Johns, big favorite. He will, he's fought everywhere. PFL, UFC. This kid, has a salty record, but I don't think he's as bad as his record. I think he's one of those dudes that's fought high-level guys when he was young and acquired a lot of those losses early in his career. And he's leveling up, Now he's beating decent dudes in Aries FC. He's got a really good rear naked choke. He tries the armbar, but he's easy to get taken down. He's a bit sloppy. He slows down. He's hittable as well. So I think, even though Brett Johns is a wet blanket, Brett Johns should have his way with him. I thought, before the odds came out, I thought there were going to be some sneaky overs, and the over 1.5 is $1.30. Just completely juiced. At this point, I would just look at some unders, but last 4 fights, this guy has been the last 6 fights. He hasn't been finished. The only guy to finish him was Jack Shaw in 2016. He was 18 years of age. So yeah, most likely he just gets grinded on by Brett Johns. But yeah, what is there to play? I don't really feel like parlaying Brett Johns. What do we got? My dad thinks Silva is coming for that ass. I think my dad should go back to work. Big Bird, thoughts on the weight miss affecting Andreas Binder legacy? That fight is off, right? That's pisses me off. So that I actually had a money line on Binder. Binder will never make it now. Thoughts on Valentina's getting extra guard work in bedroom with Danielle. Right, yeah. Wait, is that his wife or is that his sister? I thought that was Valentina Scatizzi was his sister. Interesting, mind blown. What is my dad saying? Wesley's going to be McGrillen Lewis. Am I right, fellas? Yeah, we'll get there. All right, so the Binder fight is off. Lewis, McGrillen, Evans, Wesley, Meyer. This is a great fight. Looking forward to it a lot. Let's share the tab for the sake of it. So yeah, McGrillen is a beast. He's a 23-year-old southpaw, physical specimen, very athletic, very strong. So many KOs, hits like a truck for flyweight. And yeah, I went deep into his career, and he's got a good reactive double, great entries. He's a strong wrestler. He's got a slick back take. I've seen him wrestle for 3 rounds. And yeah, I think the guy is good everywhere. Even though in his last few PFL fights he's kind of been slinging and he's being a bit hittable in there, which could cost him. Could cost him if he comes out the same way here. And yeah, Wesley Meyer, a dude that's been mainstay of Cage Warriors, Brazilian guy, very young. Now he's I think 27, 28 years old. He's had a bunch of early losses, but he's leveled up a lot. Every time he's taken a layoff, he's come back. He hits hard as well, but he's orthodox. He's got a good overhand right and a calf kick. He's dropped a lot of people. He knocked out Adam Wilson, who's okay regional guy. Dropped him multiple times. Dropped Michel Martignoni in the first round. Dropped Rory Evans in the first round. Submitted Bogdan Barbu after coming off a layoff, and just shut down Cesar Quadrian, who that was his first loss. He's a relentless wrestler, and that's usually been the issue with Maya's game. But Martignoni wrestled him for rounds 2 and 3 after being dropped, and Rory Evans, did his ACL and came back and beat him, which that was always a red flag for me with Maya. I think that was an outlier. I don't know what happened there. It's weird because Rory Evans always flakes, and he just gritted it out and won the fight there. But yeah, Wesley Meyer improving a lot. Brutal calf kick, throws a nice flying knee. This is a great fight between two dudes. It should be probably the hardest fight of McGrillen's career, and I get the money coming in on Wesley Meyer. There seems to be some value on him, but yeah, I don't know. I think I'm just leaving it. I missed the early line, even though I knew I should have taped it. I just didn't, and then someone played it, and yeah, no, I just feel like watching it. But yeah, I think Lewis has a few paths if he's losing the fight to take. But yeah, I'm going to enjoy watching the fight. Actually, I won't because I'll be sleeping, but good fight. Let's move on to the main card and the first championship fight. A lot of comments going on. What do we got? Pepe, that's his sister. All right, so I was correct. Team Scatizzi. Alrighty. Jacob Nadoa, the Gorilla versus Samuel Powell. Smooth. Great fight. Obviously, 2 young dudes. 2 of the top guys in the PFL, Europe Light Heavyweight Championship. I hate Simeon Powell. I hammered his juicy under 1.5 against that one-dimensional jiu-jitsu guy, Daniel Ladera, who everyone's finished in the under 1.5, and then he just danced around him. Super negative guy, massive reach, 85 inches. But just, likes the calf kick, circle around, jab, mix in takedowns. Yeah, super negative guy with a lot of athletic advantages. And he's fighting Nadoa, who's complete opposite to him. All systems go. A shit ton of finishes. all finishes actually. I think he was finished himself in the first back in 2014. Yeah, he's ran through everyone in one round. They're all bums. Not one good fighter on his thing. Even Anthony Salamone was a career middleweight, and he's just awful. He was 30-27 by Fury, Will Fleury. So yeah, and he's just all the fights have gone the same. He's just hit that overhand right, and some of the fighters he's actually taken down. So I think he's got some potential for takedowns. I mean, Powell does too. So it's hard to see who will have an advantage. But what I came away from tape is both these guys can be cracked. I've seen the Nadal cracked in a bunch of his fights. Obviously, because he's quite aggressive, and I've seen Samuel Powell cracked over the top of his jab a bunch of times, even though he has quite the long reach and he's quite tall. So I could see in the door sparking him. It's just I have questions about Powell's chin. I haven't seen much. I didn't want to tape his whole career back in the amateurs again. But yeah. I mean, I would rather take the dog shot on the door. I think he's live for a finish, like always. One thing about his reach is 73 inches. Same as his last opponent, Anthony Salamone, who's fought at welterweight before, and he's 6 foot. So that because of that, he's given up 12 inches of reach. That can't be right. If you look at this photo, look how big his shoulders, his traps, and his arms look. They're going down past his waist. How can he have 73 inches of reach? Right. That's weird, but it's on Tapology and it's on his PFL fights as well. So maybe PFL hasn't measured him and they just went with the Tapology stats. But yeah, I don't know what to say. I mean, the under 1.5 plus money, I really considered it. And then Pepe, my boy Pepe, hit it. I think it covers Nadoa's finishing, but I don't know. Powell is so negative. Maybe this is the first fight that goes over. Who knows? Who knows what to, I don't know what to play. Maybe Nadoa round one just for the culture. And just because, I want to rage fade Powell, burning me on the under 1.5. Dakota Ditcheva versus Valentina Skitizia. I didn't go deep into this fight. I mean, whenever Dakota's fighting, you literally just tape and see how she's going to finish the girl and if it's going to be the under 1.5 rounds. I didn't go deep on Valentina. Taped it before a bunch of times. She has been finished early in round one against the best fighter she's fought, Samantha Joan Francis. She's got a salty record, but she's quite good. She's fought everywhere, and she has a good rear naked choke. So yeah, could be live here. It's the under 1.5 is better than usual for Dakota fights. But, Valentina is quite scrappy. It's hard to tell, really. Haven't really seen her hurt in any other fight. Yeah, haven't put too much time in. All right, Dylan Took versus Yazid Chechain. So this Yazid dude is... What's my boy Big Bird saying? Russian gorilla. He's not Russian, bro. He is Slovenian. Slovakian. One of those. Come on, mate. Learn your geography. Alrighty. My dad, this is exactly what I thought, Dad. They must have got the names mixed up. I thought the same thing I was about to say, but I thought I best not. Alrighty. Yeah, Dylan Took, Yazid Chechain. Yazid is a old 34-year-old French kickboxer, and he debuted in his in the last PFL decision. This Henrique Madera guy who hasn't fought in ages. He also beat Yedna and Chala, who I'm fading on Brave right now. This awful African fighter. He 30-27 then, and yeah, the Chala guy is fighting. Hopefully Ribeiro beats the crap out of him. But yeah, he's he's been all around. He's lost to Yves Landu. He got knocked out by Muhammad Yahya, who he faded with Trevor Peake. Just an awful fighter. He got knocked out, and he throws good hooks. He's got power, and he mixes in takedowns. He's physical. It's what he used to be in Chala. But yeah, I think he's quite chinny. Obviously, getting knocked out by Yahya is a red flag, and he was dropped in the PFL debut quite bad as well. So I think he's chinny. I also think Dylan Took is quite chinny, which we haven't really seen that chin recently in PFL because he's been a lot more patient and avoiding. But been knocked out round one by Cameron Else, red flag. Yusuf obviously knocked him out. This Esteban Amato finished him in round one, guillotine. He's been dropped a lot, hurt a lot. The chin seems like dust. And yeah, he shut down Connor Hughes with his footwork and backpacks, which we covered in the second fight of the night. And yeah, Jacob Kazuba, who we'll talk about next, he had a great fight with him. He won round one, again, skirting the octagon, sticking and moving. And then he backed him at the end of round one. And then round two, he just kind of got muscled. He got muscled up and worn out by Kazuba's pressure. Kazuba was a lot more physical. Like that dude looks like a specimen. And he just worked the body, tied him out, busted him up with dirty boxing and a knee in a clinch, cut him open, kind of hurt him. And then round two, more of the same. Wore him out. Actually took him down, and Took didn't get up. So yeah, this fight was a pick 'em. I just didn't feel any interest in playing it a pick 'em. I felt like Took has the size, the age, the footwork, maybe the ground game. But Yazid hits quite hard, man, and he's quite more physical than him. So I felt like Two could be winning, and then he gets cracked or taken down, and Yazid could also get cracked because he's so chinny. Just two chinny dudes. Yeah, not interested in this fight whatsoever. Maybe the under. I'm also considering Yazid KO at $9. Alrighty, another championship fight, solid fight. John Mitchell, Jakub Kazuba. Yeah, pick 'em fight. A little money's coming on Mitchell now. Hard fight to tape or to get a read on or to have any confidence in playing. Jakub, these guys have similarities. Both sell out for the takedown. Jakub is slower, more predictable. Actually, they're both predictable. He's slower. He's more lumbering, more physical. I think his entries are a bit worse. Whereas John Mitchell, he's lighter. He's got lighter footwork. And his entries are lower and better. He shoots in, but he also sells out, and he kind of gives his neck quite a bit. He's been guillotined quite a bit, and he was in a deep guillotine in his last fight, and he still gives his neck. So I don't like how both these guys sell out for the takedown. But I trust Jakub. Jakub, I feel like he has better jiu-jitsu, and he's got more finishes over better dudes, and he was forced to strike with Took for 2 rounds, and he did well. I think he's got more power, better physicality. But John Mitchell, if we watch John Mitchell's earlier fights before PFL, he strikes a bit more. He's also got nice footwork, nice calf kick. He throws out the volume. So I think it just comes down. John Mitchell was faster, more technical, in and out. Jakub more physical. He can bully him. I think we might see some reversals. Both can be taken down in the wrestling department. I think he plays out pick him early. But yeah, I would have played some overs. And I potentially would have played Jakub or Mitchell just because I think he has the better cardio as well. But I can't just because I'm really considering a Kazuba finish here, so that's why I can't play it. I feel like if I play it, Mitchell's just going to get guillotined or maybe cracked or rear naked choked or something. So yeah, I'm just passing on this fight. I would love live bets on these championship fights. Would be great. Pierce, do you think Jakub is a Mormon? He definitely has Mormon energy, that's for sure. First ever Mormon from Duval. Well, you don't know that. I know big money bettors who max bet Mitchell. Yeah, well, the line hasn't moved that much. So how big money bettors are they? Alrighty, another good fight. Franz Miambo, Kursed, Kakarov. Kakarov's improved a lot since he went to Extreme Couture. He's beat 2 solid dudes in his last 2, Taleb in particular. And yeah, I think he's a well-rounded guy with a lot of advantages. Same as Franz Miambo. Miambo, taller, longer reach by 6 inches, almost 7. Both fight with their hands low. Both I have kind of chin concerns, or maybe it's more their defense. Kakarov's been hurt a bunch on the regionals, and Taleb hurt him recently. Miambo as well, knocked out before, and just that tall man defense. Both can strike on the back foot. I think Kakarov cracks a bit harder. I think that's a no-brainer. But I think Miambo can crack too, and he's kind of tricky. I think his hands are even lower than Kakarov's. If he sits down his punches, long punches, he can definitely crack Kakarov. And honestly, before the odds came out, I gave Kakarov 55%, which I think that was probably too generous, too conservative. I'll give him 60% just because Franz Miambo has awful takedown defense. Truly awful. Anyone can take him down. He loves that guillotine. That's the extent of his takedown defense. And, Kakarov, I think he has some decent offensive grappling that he can use here, just because anyone can. So yeah, he's got the grappling upside. I think he's more physical. I think he hits harder. But if this goes long, it's a 5 rounder. I have a feeling that Miambo is better in a 5 rounder fight. His fight's very close, but if he goes 5 rounds, gives him more chance to win a split if the minutes are extended. But I just feel Kakarov might have a few moments and might even be live to knock him out. We haven't seen Miamba knocked out in a bit since Bellator. But yeah, I think that could be live. That's the only thing stopping me from playing this money line. But I think there's some value on Miamba. Again, I would love a live bet on this. See after out of round one, round two, Kakarov slow down a bit, Miambo get into the fight. I would love it. But yeah, it's a dog or pass this one. It's a dog or pass this one. Yeah, let's move on. After all those beautiful fights, we just end up on just a retarded fight in Nate Kelly versus Dimitri versus Solimeis, whatever the hell that name is. Yeah, so first thing, taping Dimitri, I thought, yeah, Nate Kelly sub is live. This dude's, awful negative takedown defense, instantly getting put in bad submissions. Kelly is a decent black belt. He's got a bunch of instant submissions. I did get burnt upper lady submission in the last one, and his wrestling kind of got exposed against Damian Nelson. Awful wrestling. He's just more of a body lock guy. It's gonna be quite hard to body lock this giant. If you've seen the weigh-ins, Smilson is huge, man. It's huge, which makes me think Kelly's not really want to go strike with him. He's got, he's very stiff and he's very hittable. So hopefully he goes for a takedown here because even though it's his fight to lose, this Smilson guy can knock him out, man. He's improved a lot. He's still getting taken down, but he didn't get submitted in his last fight. He was grapple left for 3 rounds and he didn't get submitted. And that guy has a bunch of submissions on his career, on his record. So I think he's improving, So yeah, Kelly should definitely take this guy down. The reach and the height is massive, and he doesn't have good defense. I played Kelly's submission, when he was like 350, 325. And yeah, wasn't overly confident, but I thought, I hit it. Can't tip it out, obviously, bet online. Straight away, the line moved. I really considered the under 1.5 at plus money, but again, someone ruined it with $250 odds. Props to you. Just ruining all the good lines, whoever you are. But yeah, now I'll pick him. Just because Nate Kelly's wrestling is so bad, I can see a lot of cage push. Even if he takes Solimeis down, I think he could be a little bit. And if he can't take him down, I think the under 1.5 could be a little bit sweaty. Now I'd pick him. I think it's accurate. So yeah, I have a quarter unit poke on the submission at 320 or 350, whatever it is, and that's pretty much it. Let's see what I have. So Kelly, Hughes, yeah, Wooding, Breeze. I had Binder. I really considered Maya. I'm just going to leave it. I'll play Jacob Neto round 1. Why not? Maybe I play some Yazid KO. Miamba, I was close on the money line. I still am. And Kelly sub. So that's all I really have. Not much. Maybe more pops up. I'll post it on my Twitter. I don't want to say too much on this podcast just because the lines haven't opened up yet on BetOnline. But yeah, that's about it. See what the comments say. Andrew Vitzak, Nate Kelly sub 375. Are we talking about the right Nate Kelly, mate? I'm not talking about the amateur. I'm talking about the main event. So no, I'm not really interested in the amateur of Nate Kelly by sub. Moyes, yes, we know Jacob is Catholic. He had that weird comment in the cage. Kelly sub one, maybe. You look like Nate Kelly. I don't look like Nate Kelly at all, mate. The good Nate Kelly. Yeah, that's great value. That's a better line than I have. What book? Probably some obscure European one. Big Bird, always bet on black, especially if in Ireland. Well, that's my boy Pepe's line, and he's fading Simeon Powell, so what about that, do you say? Cool. That's it. Under 40 minutes, even with my long rant about my review. We'll leave it at that. Hopefully Kelly subs. and yeah, hopefully some profit. Would be good to get live bets. I don't think we will. Let me see. Maybe there'll be some live betting on Bet Online because they had it for PFL. Yeah, 4 a.m. it starts for me. Jesus. Yeah, you never know. Alrighty. Thanks for tuning in. Like and subscribe. Peace out.